Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nate sees the real Audra, Billy's cryptic announcement, as Claire demonstrates. The Young and the Restless preview video for the week of August 18th to 22nd reveals that Claire Newman will plan to show Nate Hastings the real Audra Charles while Billy Abbott makes a cryptic announcement. First, Chelsea Lawson will be informed of Sally Spectra's official leadership of Billy's new company, and she will be concerned about Billy's future. After Chelsea quizzes Billy and Sally in the jazz lounge, Billy will keep things vague for now. In the weekly preview video for Y&R, Billy says, "I do have exciting news of my own, and I will enlighten you very soon." Next, Holden Novak will grow suspicious when Daniel Romalotti Jr. starts pumping him for information. Holden will become agitated as a result and demand to know whether Daniel is looking for dirt on him. Daniel will deny it, but Holden will remain on edge as he asks if Kane Ashby put him up to this. Meanwhile, Nate will make it back from Damian Kane's memorial service in Chicago, so Claire will waste no time seeking him out for a crucial conversation. Claire didn't want to pile on issues when Nate was about to go bury his brother, but she won't want to sit on the Audra truth any longer. After Claire corners Nate at society and suggests she needs to speak with him immediately, Nate will wonder what this is about. This is Audra. In the weekly preview video for Y&R, Claire declares, "There's something you need to know about the kind of person she really is." Of course, it's possible Claire's confession will get postponed a bit longer in the end. Audra might find some way to delay the inevitable and try to get ahead of the drama that's about to erupt. However, it's also possible Claire will blurt everything out and expose Audra's dirty tactics. Nate has to find out about Audra's breakup plot for Victor Newman sooner or later, so the time may be now. Claire will also want Nate to know about Audra putting her lips all over Kyle Abbott at the restaurant recently. Nate will undoubtedly be furious because Audra has been making numerous scandalous and manipulative moves behind Nate's back. Stay with the CBS soap because the Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Audra will need to give some explanations. The week of August 18th to 22nd in Genoa City is shaping up to be a whirlwind of revelations, cryptic teases, and power plays that will leave several characters reeling, and the preview video for the Young and the Restless hints that the fuse on multiple emotional bombs is about to be lit. The first tremor comes in the form of Billy Abbott, whose behavior has been erratic, unpredictable, and drenched in the kind of vague confidence that both intrigues and unsettles those around him. In the jazz lounge, Chelsea Lawson finds herself observing a scene she never thought she'd witness. Sally Spectra, poised and confident, is now officially the leader of Billy's latest company venture. This development doesn't just catch Chelsea off guard, it alarms her. Her instincts tell her that Billy's future could be in jeopardy if he continues to tether himself to high-risk personalities and corporate upheaval. Chelsea, never one to bite her tongue when she senses trouble brewing, openly quizzes both Billy and Sally about this new arrangement. She wants to know why Billy is ceding so much control and what exactly he's getting out of the deal. But Billy, in true Abbott fashion, plays his cards close to his chest. He doesn't launch into a full explanation. Instead, he offers a calculated breadcrumb, a teaser wrapped in charm. "I do have exciting news of my own, and I will enlighten you very soon." His cryptic tone leaves both women trying to decipher whether this news is a genuine opportunity or the setup for another Billy Abbott disaster. Chelsea walks away unconvinced, knowing that when Billy is in this particular kind of mood, evasive, grinning, and a little too pleased with himself, trouble is usually just over the horizon. While Billy's shadowy announcement is still rippling through the Abbott and Spectra gossip channels, another confrontation is brewing on a very different front. Daniel Romalotti Jr., typically more measured in his dealings, starts probing Holden Novak for information. His questions seem harmless enough at first, but the more Daniel digs, the more Holden's eyes narrow. Holden isn't stupid. He can tell when someone is trying to collect dirt, and his hackles rise almost immediately. Suspicion sharpens his tone as he flatly demands to know whether Daniel is fishing for incriminating details. More specifically, Holden challenges him point blank. Is Kane Ashby behind this? The accusation lingers heavily between them. Daniel quickly denies it, but Holden doesn't relax. If anything, his agitation grows, his mind now fully primed to suspect that whatever Daniel is up to, it's part of a larger scheme orchestrated behind the scenes. The mere mention of Kane's name is enough to shift the conversation's tone from awkward to dangerous, adding another thread of intrigue to Genoa City's already tangled web of grudges and alliances. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, Nate Hastings has just wrapped up an emotionally exhausting trip to Chicago for Damian Kane's memorial service. Grief has a way of stripping away a person's defenses, and Nate returns to Genoa City carrying both the weight of loss and the desire for a bit of stability in his personal life. But stability is a luxury Nate isn't going to get, not with Claire Newman lying in wait. Claire, who has been sitting on explosive information about Audra Charles, has been biding her time, waiting for the right moment to speak up. Before Nate left for Chicago, she made a calculated decision to keep quiet. It didn't seem fair to hit him with a betrayal when he was preparing to bury his brother. But now that the memorial is over and Nate is back in town, Claire's patience has evaporated. She knows that what she has to say can't be delayed any longer without risking further damage. The moment Nate walks into society, Claire spots him, determination flashing in her eyes. She intercepts him before he can even sit down, her tone clipped but urgent. "We need to talk," she insists, leaving no room for casual small talk or polite evasions. Nate, startled by her intensity, immediately wonders what could be so urgent. "What's this about?" he asks, his voice tight with curiosity and a hint of dread. Claire doesn't dance around the subject in the preview clip. Her voice is steady but loaded with implication. "This is about Audra. There's something you need to know about the kind of person she really is." In that moment, the possibility of Claire keeping her secret just a little longer hangs in the air. After all, Genoa City is a town where conversations can be interrupted by an ill-timed phone call, an unexpected arrival, or a manipulative third party swooping in to derail the truth. Audra is exactly the kind of woman who would sniff out danger and act fast to protect herself. If Claire doesn't get the words out right then and there, Audra could very well preempt her, crafting her own version of events to spin the narrative in her favor. But there's also a chance, and a strong one, that Claire has reached her breaking point and will finally let the truth spill out in full. That truth? Audra has been maneuvering behind Nate's back with ruthless precision, orchestrating a breakup plot involving none other than Victor Newman. Nate might have suspected that Audra could be manipulative, but learning that she actively schemed to undermine one of the most powerful men in Genoa City would be another matter entirely. The betrayal would cut deep, not just because of the act itself, but because it would reveal that Audra's loyalty to Nate was conditional, self-serving, and laced with deception from the start. But that's not all Claire has to unload. There's also the matter of Audra's very public, very deliberate flirtation with Kyle Abbott at a restaurant, a moment that didn't just stop at lingering looks or playful banter. Claire intends to tell Nate exactly what she saw, Audra putting her lips on Kyle in a move that was neither accidental nor innocent. The kiss, whether spontaneous or calculated, speaks volumes about where Audra's attention really lies and how far she's willing to go to keep her options open. For Nate, already grappling with grief and the pressure of his career, this revelation could be the tipping point that turns suspicion into fury. The implications of Claire's confession, assuming it gets out before Audra can silence her, could set off a domino effect across Genoa City. Nate's reaction is likely to be intense. Betrayal has a way of hardening his resolve and pushing him toward decisive action. If Nate decides to confront Audra, the fallout could be swift and ugly, potentially tearing apart professional alliances, personal relationships, and corporate deals. And if Audra senses that she's losing control of the narrative, she won't go down quietly. Expect her to push back, to spin the truth, to accuse Claire of jealousy or manipulation, and to weaponize any secret she holds about Nate in retaliation. As all of this simmers, Billy's cryptic exciting news still hangs over the week like a loaded gun waiting to go off. Could his announcement be tied to a business coup, a personal bombshell, or some unexpected twist that will blindside Chelsea, Sally, and perhaps even his own family? The timing of Billy's tease, coming just as other power players in town are on edge, feels deliberate, as if he knows the chaos around him will only amplify the impact of whatever he's holding back. The Young and the Restless thrives on these overlapping tensions, and the week of August 18th to 22nd promises to weave them together in a way that forces characters into corners they can't easily escape from. By week's end, viewers will likely be left with as many questions as answers. Will Claire manage to tell Nate everything before Audra interferes? Will Nate believe her, or will Audra's charm and calculated deflections buy her more time? Will Billy's exciting news be a game changer or a disaster in the making? And how will Holden's suspicion toward Daniel and his sharp mention of Kane Ashby tie into the bigger web of scheming and mistrust taking over Genoa City? One thing's for sure, the preview isn't just teasing drama, it's promising an explosive week where trust will be tested, alliances will shift, and the true nature of several characters will be laid bare for all to see. The tension in Genoa City doesn't just simmer, it's a slow boil that keeps threatening to spill over. After Claire Newman's urgent approach at society, Nate Hastings is left standing in a cloud of unease. Even though Claire hasn't yet unpacked every damning detail about Audra Charles, her tone, her urgency, and the way her eyes dart around as if expecting Audra to suddenly appear, all send Nate's instincts into overdrive. He's a man trained to read subtle cues from his days as a doctor diagnosing patients to his more recent corporate maneuvering, and right now, everything about Claire screams that she's holding on to something big. But before Claire can open her mouth further, the restaurant doors swing open, and who should walk in but Audra herself, effortlessly stylish, her eyes scanning the room with a predator's confidence. The timing is almost too perfect or too suspicious. Claire's lips pressed together in frustration. Nate glances between the two women, sensing the invisible sparring match that's about to take shape. Audra's smile widens as she spots him, and in one smooth motion, she crosses the floor, looping her arm through his before greeting Claire with a saccharine. What a surprise. Claire knows she's been cut off before she's even begun. Audra turns to Nate and launches into a casual monologue about how much she's missed him, how she knows Damien's memorial must have been draining, and how they should spend the rest of the evening together to focus on what really matters. It's a masterclass in redirecting attention, and Nate feels the subtle pull. Claire, refusing to be sidelined, interjects sharply, "This conversation isn't over." But Audra's already steering Nate toward a corner table, her voice a velvet blanket covering any cracks in her facade. Elsewhere in town, Billy Abbott's cryptic promise to reveal his exciting news soon is already making waves. Chelsea Lawson, unable to shake her concern, corners Sally Spectra later that afternoon. The two women share a brittle rapport at best, and Chelsea doesn't waste time with pleasantries. "You might think you know Billy, but you don't know the whole Billy," she warns, folding her arms. When he's this secretive, it usually means disasters on the way. Sally, not one to be intimidated, arches an eyebrow and fires back. Or maybe he's about to prove everyone wrong and pull off something brilliant. Chelsea smirks. She's heard this before. She's lived it before. And every time, Billy's brilliance has come with collateral damage. But Billy is keeping his cards close, even with those closest to him. That evening, over at Chancellor Winter's, he meets with a mysterious associate behind closed doors. Their conversation is low, urgent, and peppered with phrases like "timing is everything" and "once the press gets wind of it, we can't put the genie back in the bottle." Whatever this announcement is, it's not a spur-of-the-moment idea. It's been in the works for weeks, maybe months. Billy's grin grows wider as the associate slides a folder across the desk toward him. Inside are documents, mock-ups, and a timeline. Billy taps the folder twice, almost giddy, and says, "This is going to shake things up in ways no one sees coming." Meanwhile, over at Crimson Lights, Daniel Romalotti Jr. is still wrestling with the awkward confrontation he had with Holden Novak. The conversation replayed in his head on a loop. Holden's narrowed eyes, the tension in his voice, the pointed question about whether Kane Ashby was involved. Daniel knows he denied it convincingly enough, but the fact that Holden even thought of Kane means there's a bigger undercurrent at play. And if Holden's on edge, it could mean trouble for Lucy, Heather, and the delicate balance Daniel's been trying to maintain between his personal and professional life. He decides he needs to find Kane and get ahead of whatever rumors might be starting. Back at society, Nate is trying to focus on Audra's breezy chatter, but Claire's presence still lingers in his peripheral vision like an unanswered question. Every laugh Audra gives, every casual brush of her hand against his arm feels slightly performative now that Claire's warning is lodged in his mind. He decides he needs to get Claire alone, but Audra seems determined to keep them in public, together, and under her watchful control. It's only when she steps away to take a quick call that Nate slips out of the restaurant and catches Claire just as she's about to leave. "This is your chance," Nate says, his tone low but urgent. "Tell me, what do I need to know?" Claire hesitates only for a heartbeat before the dam breaks. She tells him about the Victor Newman breakup plot, How Audra's been working angles that would put Nate directly in conflict with one of the most powerful men in the city. She describes the calculated nature of Audra's moves, the way she's been setting Nate up as a pawn while securing her own position regardless of the fallout. And then Claire drops the kiss bomb, painting the scene of Audra and Kyle Abbott in vivid detail, the way she leaned in, the way Kyle didn't exactly resist, and the way it was done where they could be seen. Nate's expression hardens as the pieces start clicking into place. His mind flashes back to moments that felt off, the evasive answers, the sudden changes in plans, the unexplained late-night meetings. Now, framed by Claire's revelations, they look a lot less like coincidences and a lot more like strategy. "Why are you telling me this?" he asks finally, searching Claire's face for any sign of ulterior motive. Claire meets his gaze steadily. "Because you deserve to know the truth before she burns you." But before Nate can press for more details, Audra reappears in the doorway, her expression unreadable. Did she overhear? Did someone tip her off? She glides over, slipping her arm around Nate's waist in a move that feels more like a stake in the ground than affection. "Ready to go?" she asks sweetly, but her eyes flick toward Claire with a glint that promises payback. Across town, Billy decides the time has come to plant the first seed of his exciting news. In a gathering at society later that night, carefully timed so that word will spread, he raises a glass and announces that a major announcement is coming within days, one that will change the landscape of business in this city and redefine the game. The room buzzes instantly. Chelsea's frown deepens, Sally looks smug, and Jack Abbott, watching from the bar, seems both intrigued and wary. Billy, ever the showman, refuses to elaborate further, instead clinking glasses with anyone who approaches and deflecting questions with charm. The next morning, Daniel finally tracks down Kane at the athletic club. Kane listens as Daniel recounts the encounter with Holden, his brow furrowing deeper with each detail. When Daniel finishes, Kane leans back in his chair and says, "If Holden thinks I'm pulling strings, then someone's feeding him that idea, and they are doing it for a reason." It's clear Kane's mind is already spinning with possibilities. He tells Daniel to keep his head down for now, but Daniel can tell Kane is anything but passive about the situation. Meanwhile, Nate wakes up to find a text from Claire. "Be careful today. She's going to try something." The words feel like a warning and a prophecy rolled into one. Sure enough, by mid-morning, Audra has arranged an impromptu meeting with him under the guise of catching up after Chicago. Over coffee, she starts weaving a story about Claire, how she's been stirring trouble, how she's jealous of their relationship, how she's been misinterpreting innocent situations. Audra's voice is calm, measured, but her eyes are locked on Nate's, searching for signs of doubt. Nate listens, but for the first time, he's not just hearing her words, he's analyzing them, weighing them against what Claire told him. The cracks are starting to show. By week's end, the city feels poised for multiple explosions. Billy's announcement looms like a storm cloud, Daniel and Kane are circling an unseen enemy, and Nate finds himself caught between two sharply contrasting versions of the truth. The tension is no longer under the surface, it's in the air, in every interaction, and it's clear that the coming days will push these simmering conflicts into full-blown battles. The following afternoon, society is buzzing with quiet speculation. Word of Billy Abbott's game-changing announcement has already spread far beyond the jazz lounge, and now nearly every conversation is laced with theories. Some believe his merging with a major competitor, others whisper about a hostile takeover. Chelsea Lawson, still deeply unsettled, sits in a corner booth with Chloe Mitchell, venting her concerns. Billy doesn't just toss out teases like that unless he's about to light a match, Chelsea warns, her coffee cup clinking sharply against its saucer. Chloe smirks but nods. "And you're afraid he's holding the match over his own company." At the same time, Nate Hastings steps into Newman Media's sleek conference room, bracing himself for whatever Audra Charles has planned. She greets him warmly, too warmly, with the kind of smile that feels like an unspoken dare. "I've been thinking about what Claire might have told you," she says smoothly, as if reading his mind. "She thrives on chaos, Nate. She feeds off of turning people against each other." Nate remains silent, letting her speak, but his stillness unnerves her. She presses on. "And Kyle Abbott? Yes, we had a moment. But it meant nothing. Sometimes people misinterpret, or choose to."